Hey everybody, what's up? It's Chase. Welcome to another episode of the show. Today's show is special. And right now you're saying, why, Chase? And the simple answer is because this is an announcement. Right this minute, I am very excited to share with you the announcement that I today am releasing a collaboration. It is a tennis shoe that I designed with the shoe brand K-Swiss. 18 months in the making. And right now you might be going, wait a minute, you designed a shoe? It's like, yeah, normally they're reserved for, Michael Jordan and pro basketball players or skateboarders or whatever. So the story behind getting a shoe deal, I think is fascinating. And that's what this episode is. But before we get into the details, a little bit more detail about the episode, what you're about to hear, you might want to press pause on this because the shoe has just dropped right now. Today is June 23rd when this episode is dropping right now. And at 9 a.m. Pacific, that's when the shoes are available. They are a limited edition. 1,000 pairs only will ever be made. And they are on sale now at kswiss.com/chasejarvis. All right. So I'm going to assume, and fingers crossed, that you go check it out and pick up a pair or two. And now a little bit more on the backstory. So in this conversation, I invite people from my text community to, I share with them a number of days early. This was recorded last Sunday, so here we are 4 days early, all of the details of the shoe deal, why I was offered the deal, the process that I went through to choose materials and aesthetic and the design experience. It was a huge journey and so joyful, and like any project, full of curveballs. But I wanted to share the values behind the shoes, the materials, what I had in mind when I made this for you. Now, many in my community have been asking for merchandise for a long time, and you might think I would do shirts or hats or Lightroom presets. But that's precisely why I wanted to do something very, very different than what would normally be expected. So if you're interested in this story behind the story today of today's launch, this episode is going to be fascinating for you. I enjoyed recording it. And again, those in my text community got to hear this first. And if you're wondering, like, wait a minute, how do I get to be a part of that community and hear things very, very first? It's simple. You send me a text at 206-309-5177. You'll get an automated response, and then forevermore, it is my thumbs, actual me on the other end texting you personally, and some occasional group texts. But I'm going to stop talking and let you enjoy the process. Again, I hope you go check out the shoes. It's a huge deal. I would love your support. Super affordable, durable, really beautiful, and it's a great shoe. kswiss.com/chasejarvis. But now, let's get into the show.
Good morning, friends. I hope everyone is having an awesome day. Happy Juneteenth from yesterday, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Maybe give me a visual, like a thumbs up if you can hear me and everything's working. Yes, awesome. Well, obviously this is not my normal broadcast setup, right? We're at my dining room table here in Seattle, which is, and I don't have any fancy mics or anything. I thought I'd keep it lo-fi. I want to say thanks for swinging by. I can make this quick. There's some folks in the chat. Frank and Emmett, Lauren, Mary Ellen, Jennifer, Shava, Ryan, Monica. Thanks for being in the chat room. Anyway, I hope y'all having a good day. Smile. Nilesh, nice to see you. Mary, Natty. Cool. So I'm trying to spend a little more time and energy cultivating like a tighter relationship with the people who are in this community. The text community is one in particular that I'm super passionate about. I've enjoyed so much swapping messages with you guys, and some people have questioned if it's really me, and I just want you to know that it is. Those are the all of the text conversations. I think there's like, I don't know, a couple thousand of them I've got going on. So I just want you to know how much that matters to me, how much I value the relationships. And what I'm trying to do is provide a little insights and ask that, or provide access and opportunity to a genuine relationship where you can ask questions and whatnot, and let you in on a handful of things that I'm working on before the rest of the world gets to see them. So that was the purpose of today's call. And thank you so much for those. I realize, 10 a.m. on Father's Day or wherever you are in the world is a challenge, but I kind of got wedged into a schedule for a number of reasons that I won't share. So I thought I would do a little bit of a monologue here up front. And it's we're not trying to change the world with this particular project, although, Creative Live and where book and things like that. I will share that I'm writing every morning. I'll let you make your own conclusions there. But when I put that out on social, a bunch of people, a couple hundred people thought that there's a new book that I was going to announce today, which is a very good guess, but it's not the case. I'm trying to put a little more play into my life. Obviously, being a part of this community and being a husband and a partner and a leader at Creative Live and the creative community, that takes a lot of energy, but I'm also trying to cultivate play, something I'm encouraging you all to do. So this project is in that universe. And when a particular tennis shoe company called K-Swiss reached out about 18 months ago and said, we love this intersection of creativity and of an active lifestyle, a creator lifestyle that you've cultivated over your career, and wanted to know if you'd be interested in doing your own shoe. And of course I said yes, because I don't know how many people raise your hand if you've ever had a chance to do your own shoe. Jennifer, I'm not seeing your hand shoot up. Natty, it's a bizarre, weird, but also very, very cool thing. And it was a little bit of a childhood fantasy growing up loving Michael Jordan. And also, bringing the relationship that creators have with particular partners on board. I was very early in doing that with companies like Nikon, and there were no sponsored creators 15 years ago when I tried to start that mission, brought what I learned in action sports from sponsored athletes into the creator community. Anyway, short story long, to have the ability to do my own shoe was just a super, super fun project. And so I want to start off by thanking K-Swiss for inviting me to do this. They've Gary Vaynerchuk, a dear friend, and he did a shoe with them, which was a pilot a couple of years ago, and they've since signed on Venus Williams. So I don't know if you're familiar with K-Swiss, but it's a very cool legacy brand that's in the middle of a complete revival. So short story long, I said, heck yeah. And I started making some trips. Actually, my trip to LA was the last time I was on a plane. Prior to, I had a couple of journeys over the course of, but it was like the week before the pandemic, where we sat down and we touched a bunch of materials, talked about the concept. So it's been 18 months in the making, and that makes me just get to the chase here. Cut to the chase. No, terrible joke. So I got a bunch of these boxes here, but here's the experience. You can see they got this cool little shield that's debossed, and it's got my name there on both sides. And the shoe is called the Creator, and it's wild. It's out there, unisex, non-gender. Anyone can wear these things, but I'll just unveil it, and then I'll walk you through sort of the why and what I was thinking when we developed this. So you all know I love camouflage prints. You've probably seen me wear them before. So when you open the box, it's all blacked out everywhere. And there's this white camo paper that we designed. I got to give a shout out to my friend Kyle Kiviari for helping with that. And these are very small shoes. These are not mine. These are Kate's. I'm using Kate's because mine are on my feet. There's a little card in here that walks you through all the details. And then inside the shoe is dun, dun, it is black camouflage tennis shoe. And it's been what's called, there's a little scuff on this one. This was worn by a model. It's been lenticularly printed. I don't know if you can see the shimmering deal. Gum sole, and little lace up here, quick access zipper, waterproof. And then check this out on the inside. We embroidered a bunch of cool things. This one says, creativity is a habit, and then it says creativity is a skill, and then it's crossed out and stitched in there, habit. And then on the other one, it says, where's this? It says fake it till you make it, and the fake is crossed out, and it says make it till you make it. So there's a little license plate. It says the creator, and there you go. So the mission and vision behind these things is to start thinking of a creator as an identity. And I think it's pretty easy and obvious to think of, sports shoes, because people who are athletes, that is a part of their identity. But one of the things that I believe is missing culturally that I tried to underscore here in the book was that how empowering and powerful it is to start calling yourself a creator, even if you're not something you wear on your lapel, but if you identify as it in your mind. And it seemed to me that it's strange to me that there aren't that we aren't making products specifically with the creator in mind, and not just products like Photoshop, but lifestyle products that identify with the values, the aspirations, the community, the collective, goal of making our lives and the lives around us better, more rich, fulfilled. So that was one of the reasons that this intersection of a little bit of fashion, but mostly utility and the identity of starting to make things specifically with you and me in mind. So it was with that we set off here to do the thing we're talking about. It's made with sustainable materials wherever possible, recycled plastic. It also ships with a couple different laces. I got a blue pair here all laced up. These are a pair of mine. It comes with blue, with these electric blue laces as well. And it has been so fun to make this shoe with K-Swiss. All the different features and decisions, like anything in your house or in a book or in a piece of art that you've made, a video, any of that stuff, there's 1,000 little decisions. And so the long product cycle, having things made, and then you get it in your hand, you're like, well, that didn't work. I did 4 different versions of that in order to land where we are. I don't know any other shoe that has that, first of all, a camo print. It's durable. A lot of one of the things that I have lived throughout my career is I just am super hard on things. I destroy them. And maybe that's like a life lived hard or well-lived life. But I break my gear. And so there's an element of durability that I wanted to infuse into this. So these are not going to I don't know if you all, but I've got some shoes that I put on my feet and they just fall off my feet in 2 weeks. And they look super beat up. So these ones that are on my feet, I've been wearing around for more than a month, and they're just in awesome shape. So there's a utility in mind, and importantly, there's play. To go back to that concept of, why would I do a shoe? Well, first of all, many of you have been asking for me to make journals and pencil sets and Photoshop preset or Lightroom presets. And so many of the things that I've done in my life have been digital. And I really, through the book process, wanted to make another physical thing. So I shared that I got another book in the works, but this is an awesome journey to go on as a creator. So I feel super grateful for K-Swiss for, that's a big endeavor. The cool thing about it, in addition to what I've shared already, is that limited edition. It comes out Wednesday, 6/23, which is this coming Wednesday. K-Swiss flew the coop a little bit early, and they put it on their website, I think yesterday. And so a bunch of folks saw it, but I haven't shared anything on my in detail like I'm doing here with you guys yet, but about the process. So I'll open it up for questions if you have any about it. They're also priced to be affordable. I think they're like $75 or something. And of course, you can imagine, much like a book, I'm always, I think the publisher or the manufacturer wants to make them as expensive as possible because they're limited edition. There's only 1,000 of these things that are ever going to be made. So they want to make it premium. And this is not for sneakerheads and collectors. And I mean, I imagine they will be collected and you will be able to sell and resell them in the eBays and whatnot, because there's not a unlimited supply of them. But I think the accessibility is one of the things that we wanted to cultivate. I may have shared the story before that my publisher wanted to make my Seattle 100 book. At first, they wanted to make it $99, and then they wanted to make it $79, and I landed at $29, which was like $20 on Amazon for a hardback art book. It's similar concept here. Affordable. I mean, I don't know. I haven't paid less than $100 for a pair of tennis shoes in a super long time. And yet Case was 100% open to it, even though it was going to hammer their margins, because they believe in the creator community, which is why I'm doing this. So a little signature there on the I don't know if you can see that, probably not. So anyway, sustainable materials. This little zipper they're waterproof and breathable through this little mesh deal here. And there's perforations in the tongue. And the last thing I'll share before I open it up is I learned a really cool concept from one of the top designers in the world. He's been on the podcast before. He was part of 30 Days of Genius. His name is Stefan Sagmeister. And Sagmeister is renowned for design. He's one of the top folks in the world, and a legend. Works out of New York and I think Austria. And there's a concept that I forget who was the original pioneer of this, but when designing a product, looking at it through the lens of it being something else. And so if you were going to design a pair of jeans, say, or a house, if you're going to design a pair of jeans, like what was something that was influenced you, say, books or paper or texture. So your jeans might have more texture than normal. Or if you want to design a house and you thought about it through the lens of, recycled steel, then you can, there's a vision that you can put forward. Well, I applied that here. And one of the things that has been transformational in my life is and are cameras. So I thought about what are the characteristics that a camera has. It can take you places. It's taken me, all over the world. Obviously with the shoe, there's a clear analog there. Also is black. And it's black for a reason. It's understated. It basically goes with anything and everything. Cameras, at least the pro cameras, are also very durable. And that's one of the big differences between a prosumer camera and a professional camera is the durability. I don't have anything within arm's reach here, but I could pound nails with my Nikon D5. It's a very sturdy chassis. So that's another thing that you'll find here in the shoes. And lastly, you can sort of put your own lens on life. And my hope is that, again, go back to the identity of you being a creator, and being able to create the living and the life that you want for yourself. So it's kind of funny holding, this is a miniature. I think Kate is like a 6.5 or something. This is a teeny version. And I wanted to open it up and let you ask any questions if there are any, and we can just chat about anything. Oh, there's some hands up. Look at that. Let's go to Ryan Estrellado. I don't know if I did that right. Maybe we can unmute.
That was perfect. Thank you. Congratulations. The shoes look great. I am definitely going to be buying them. Yeah, they look amazing.
So fun. I can't even explain it.
I would love to hear more about like the process, like how they're made. I think all that would be great. Sure. I'm going to be buying a pair. How do they fit size-wise? Like
awesome question. Awesome question. So we'll go in reverse order. I'll talk to you first about the fit. They are very similar to what your traditional tennis shoes are. If you're a 10 in a Nike or an Adidas, you're going to be a 10 here. One qualifier, one asterisk is that I would say if you're on the fence, go to the smaller size. They run, I would say, maybe a half size large. And one of the problems that I found with shoes, tennis shoes in particular, and especially leather ones, this is a leather that has been engraved, again, laser printed. I mean, I don't know if you can see that little shimmer at this. It's so dope. No one's ever made a shoe that looked anything like this or had this fabric. But one of the things that I experience is when you put the shoes on, you wear them for 2 weeks, they just stretch out and they get all sloppy. And that's something that I freaked out over when they were saying we were originally on a different leather. And I was like, I just can't. So this is leather, and it's actually backed. So it's not going to stretch. So if you're a person who wants to buy a pair of shoes and have them sort of like get comfortable over a week or two, don't think about this. They're not going to stretch a ton. They're going to keep their form. And that's by design, part of that sort of utility and durability part that I find valuable as creators and in cameras, as I mentioned, that influence. So I'd say normal size to half size small. I'm an 11, and I have both in my possession 11s and 10.5s, and the 10.5s are just fine. So I've got these on right now with no socks, and so I tend to wear the 10.5s when I don't wear socks. And then to the second part of your question, the process was incredible. The folks at K-Swiss were absolutely accommodating to a degree that I cannot explain. I value it. We started this project literally we started the conversation probably 6 months before the actual creation project, the week that COVID hit the West Coast of the United States. But I traveled down there twice, physically to their locations in Los Angeles, met with product leads and designers, the president, all the way down to the folks that were making social media about the process. So there's going to be a bunch of videos and whatnot that comes out over the course of the week. I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about the process. Very collaborative. I mean, just imagine binders and reams of fabric to choose from, starting at it's like any creative process. You start on like anything's possible. And in order to get down to something that is viable at the price point, is something that reflects on me and my values and the values that I see in the creative community, was a process. So I wanted to make them unique. Again, never seen anything like it. They know of no shoe ever made with lenticular printed leather, nor have they ever seen a black camo. And then there's also a handful of aspects of my youth. This is almost like it's a gum sole. You saw this in early tennis shoes. The inspiration is rife in the legacy of tennis shoes. Also comes a little bit from skate culture and skate, surf, bike culture, where I spent a lot of my youth and early part of my creative photography career. So we literally chose all the materials. Then we had a half a dozen, somewhere between 4 and 6 made, and I got to touch and feel and wear them. There's durability tests and the thickness of the foam and the heel cut, for example. All those, it was down to every last detail. And again, where applicable, there's a bunch of nubuck here. This little, I forget what this is called. Someone from K-Swiss is chapping my hide right now because they expect me to remember the names of all these little pieces of the shoe now. But this is out of nubuck, so it's like a brushed nubuck leather, and this little instep arch, breathable here, all made from sustainable materials wherever possible. Again, recycled plastic bottles. We've been to the laces here. There's a little reflective stitch. I don't know if you can see that in there. Here's a cool little detail too. I don't know if you can see this, but my little computer camera's not very good, but that says creator on the eyelet. So there's a lot of details, and it's like building a house, right? There's a million zillion details, like not just what color is it, like what's the wood, what's the window package, how thick is the frame on the thing, what size floor do you have, is it 6-inch wide planks or 4-inch? There's a million of those things, and everyone was made with thought and care. So also the phrasing, it's not cheap, if you can imagine, to embroider on the underside of a tongue. And why this isn't on the outside, or why you can't see my name anywhere on the outside of the shoe, is, again, goes back to the identity. This isn't about me. And again, not to disparage Gary, but Gary says, Gary Vaynerchuk, and giant font crosses. He's going to chat my head if he's going to see this, and he's going to bust my balls. But it only says my name in one place, and it's a teeny signature right there on the heel cup. And that's because it's not about me or any one creator. It's about the creative community. But all those little decisions were made with thought and care. And again, very, very collaborative. I want to thank the people that wore these. I sent these out to some folks who gave them wear tests and reported back. For example, the glue wasn't strong enough around the seal between the shoe and the rubber sole. So we changed that. We used to have black soles. We had a camo sole. I just was, ended up being enamored with the gum for all the reasons I already shared. We made this license plate, what we're calling that creator, that had a bunch of different renditions, and we ended up with that font and that choice. So long answer, but I'll sum it up by saying it was every decision was thought out wherever possible. And to be fair, I also had some constraints, the materials, the price point, the making things sustainable where I could. There are alternatives that were not as sustainable that I wasn't willing to do because of the impact that they might have. Now, I'll leave it at that because that's kind of a long answer, but there's a little more deep. The shoes ship with this card that outlines it. There's a little personal message that I wrote that I would like to, a little outline of the shoe there. And my personal note says, a good life is designed, it's created. The beauty of the path we walk is that no action is ever wasted. Through all the twists and turns, you're never truly lost, no matter how far you've wandered. This is the nature of the creative process. It all matters. By expressing yourself regularly in small ways, you're cultivating the agency and drive necessary to create the life of your dreams. Let these shoes be a reminder of where you're going and how you'll get there. To the creators and the entrepreneurs, not just those who dream, but those who do, these shoes are for you. So it was with that in mind. Ryan, thank you very much for your question. We got some other questions from some folks. I see Lauren and Jared and Sean and Jeanette. So let's call on Sean if we can. Sean, thanks for being in the recording today, and you're up, man.
Sure, no problem. I was looking at it, and maybe this is just how you pour yourself in everything you do, Chase. But it's like you're looking at all these little details. It seems like I feel like maybe you had a lot of fun with the process. So I'm just curious, is it something that you would do again? Are you curious about doing something like this again? If it's not a shoe, maybe another kind of product like that.
Yeah.
And I know you got limited supplies. But if it is so successful, just sells out quicker than would you ever imagine, would you then say, hey, let's turn around and do another product? So kind of the same question.
Amazing couple of questions. I'll take each on their own merit, and then you can let me know if I get them all or if you have any follow-ups. So sure. To the point of pouring myself into it, that was chief among them, and go back to the original point of just having play, designing things that have sort of play and a little bit of whimsy. I've never really been a fashion person because so much of fashion has historically been inaccessible, and I didn't like it for those reasons. And so this is sort of my answer to that. Not only is it accessible and it's gender neutral, it's super utility friendly. I am interested in making things that are tangible. I've, for a decade, I've had people asking, can you make some products? How can we tap into the community a little bit more? And so that is on my sort of 10-year, let's call it 5-year horizon, is to start creating more things that are hand built by me, that would allow us to sort of have a relationship through products that, that serve my core values around creativity, accessibility, and community. So to the point of, I guess that's a little bit about me pouring myself into it. Yes. And you can expect more of those things. long lead times. And obviously I'm super busy. So this is a little bit of a side project, but this is directly a response to, years of being petitioned by, hundreds of thousands of people. Like, when do you make stuff? A lot of creators have presets or have, different camera bag or whatever. And as someone who paved the ground for a lot of that stuff to happen, I was just happy to watch for a while and focus, the energy on the things that were transforming lives, like Creative Live is I think the best example. The book is another one. So while those tend to be a little bit more, they're a little bit, they involve, millions of dollars and huge swaths of people. There's something that's fun about high velocity products that I'm making here. So, and then to the point on, like, would you make others? It's a good opportunity for me to ask you all on this. There's 50 people in this call. The people who, if you can help me spread the word here, I think like going through 1,000 pairs would be a great signal to K-Swiss to be able to do another one, because I would absolutely love it. And I learned a bunch of things through the process. I learned about a lot of nomenclature. I learned a lot about durability. I learned a lot about the design process and making physical things that I would love to continue to adapt. So short story long, I'm 100% interested in doing another shoe collaboration with K-Swiss. You all are, core to me helping get the word out. And if everybody here, bought a pair or a couple, I do think there will be collectors, to have, a lot of sneakerheads will put these in a plastic bag on their shelf, and they will, they're limited, right? Anything that's in limited supply is going to have that opportunity. So, and the fact that hasn't been anything like it is a reason to collect. So yes, I'm going to do more. That's the backstory behind why I chose a shoe. And it's got my DNA everywhere and all over the thing. So more soon. And Sean, any follow-ups, or did that cover you?
That got it. And I think you're going to be successful, because I'm seeing everybody saying that they love the design. I saw the chat, everything going by here. I like it. I mean, for me personally, I'm going to try and get my hands on some. It will be personally my first pair of K-Swiss shoes ever, because I don't really buy K-Swiss, but
yeah,
the Gary shoe and your shoe, and I haven't bought Gary shoe, so yeah. But so if I'm able to get my hands on your shoes, yeah, definitely I'll talk about it, because that creator license plate, I love it.
Cool. And yeah, again, it's the identity, right? Very few things have been made for us. We've been peanut butter that's been spread across so many different genres, whether you're a musician or an author or, and to me, the idea of being a creator as an identity, in the same way that, Nike thinks of athletes as an identity, it's just been absent in our culture. And the future favors the creators, right? The future favors the people who can affect positive change in the world and can craft the world in a way that they want to see it. So that's when you asked about other products, like I'm going to focus on that level, on the creator as identity, and like what will people who are thoughtful, design-minded creators impact, both social and environmental, where can we put those values front and center? So that's that. I was just, NASA texted me, and there's an Easter egg here. This box is completely blacked out, in part because it can also serve as a pinhole camera. So I did a bunch of, I made photographs using household chemicals. So I'm thinking about putting a video out where you can crush up vitamin C, use coffee grounds for the developer, vitamin C for the fixer, and you make a negative from a piece of photo paper. I even had a little photo deal with Ilford to include photo paper in every box, but it just got too expensive and painful. So you will see, I will do a video at some point of making this into a pinhole camera. And if any of you are pinhole camera folks out there and you want to experiment, I would be happy to feature your work, or if you want to make some videos, that would be super helpful. So, go back to the last point that I made around getting your support. Of course, buying a couple pairs would be amazing. Gifting a pair or two, but just sharing it and making sure people are aware of it. Because as you said, K-Swiss, small legacy brand, that again, that's who I want to spend time with, is small craft makers, for example. That's where my heart is. So I'm going to go up and take another couple of questions really quick here. And then we're going to drop the video. Sean, thanks for the question, bud. Really appreciate it. And we're going to go to Lauren. Lauren, I'm always seeing you in my feeds. Thank you so much for being a creative advocate and for bringing the people together as you do on so many creative communities. I want to take your question.
So you've written extensively about the creative process. I would like to know if you learned anything new about the creative process through doing this, or if it reinforced anything or doubled down on anything that you've already talked about in your books and your podcasts and stuff. So
awesome question. Awesome question, Lauren. I think I can answer that with a laser.
And I love it.
Cool. Thank you. I'm not gonna lie, it's a cool shoe. I mean, I've worn them out in public and people are like, what is that? What's on your feet? So it's a great little conversation starter. I've also worn them into like high-end meetings with, venture capital investors. And, I shot a bunch of breakdancers as a part of the campaign, and they were totally into it. So the fact that it has that range makes my heart sing, because that is exactly what design, what the design inspiration was, to be able to, wear them for every aspect of our lives and be a multidisciplinary shoe. What it reinforced is that the creative process that I wrote about and creative calling, IDEA, IDEA, imagine, design, execute, and amplify. That's exactly the creative process that I used. I started from scratch. I had mood boards and all that stuff. Thanks to K-Swiss, they were just super open because I was exploring everything under the sun. From a mesh running shoe all the way to what we ended up with here. Something that's wildly colorful and something that was completely black. So the whole range. And that was the imagine phase. Like, what if I could make a shoe that was durable and, met all these different aspects of my life? The design process itself, there's all kinds of constraints. It took a plan. Here we are 18 months later. And, Pablo Picasso, like, nothing, even in creativity, happens at scale or with impact without a plan, even if the plan is how you're going to get started and then how you're going to do. So the design phase was, it met my expectations of the creative process. Executing was just building the thing. And now amplifying, that's why I'm doing the thing that we're doing right now, is giving you the why behind the product so that you can care about it. If you don't care, I'm not attached to it. Like, I don't benefit more from selling more shoes or less from selling less shoes at all. That's done. This is a community creative endeavor. But the ability to make something, again, for those who identify as creators, when in a marketplace that I think has, misunderstood, misrepresented, or underrepresented who, we are as identities. That's why I think the amplify process. And if I double down on anything, it would be the two ends of the spectrum. The imagine, because most of us have failed to imagine what's possible. And I got to confess, like, in the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm stuck to X, Y, and Z. And then there are so many different ways that, to me, I'm in Seattle and I need these things to be waterproof. So how can you do that and have a zipper where you get, well, we ended up, buying a waterproof zipper. So, the fact that existed, I had only thought about those from, zip up parkas and tents designed for outdoor activities and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that K-Swiss was willing to source that was huge. So imagination, I think that was one area where I really would double down on. And then, of course, the amplify, because, here I am and here you all are on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Father's Day talking about shoes and creativity. So that's what I learned. Thank you, Lauren. Jeanette, we're going to go to you.
Hi. That is an extremely dope shoe. Oh my God.
Thank you.
I got to get at least one pair.
Thank you
and I'm
so
going to
much.
wear them to job interviews.
Yes.
My question is just quick and simple. When's the clothing line coming out?
Clothing line. It's so funny. We when I sent a handful of these to my friends and I asked them for the rest of their sizes. So it's a weird question. Like, you send it to my friends who on the internet, and they're like, okay, obviously if Chase is asking my shoe size, he's up to something. But I did ask if this is a precursor. I did ask for their other sizes, and so that's part of what I mean about providing access into the creative community through some very carefully crafted products that reflect my values. So it's no small task. My friend Macklemore just launched a golf clothing line, because golf is like the most, traditional and buttoned up. And it's, he's kind of like the Andre Agassi of golf. He's trying to disrupt that industry. His new line it's called Bogey Boys. A bogey is actually not a good thing in golf. It's like one off of par. So that he named it that, and then it's as playful as it is. I know it has been a ton of work for him to have an actual line rather than just a t-shirt or two. So I'm more interested in that than just the one-off t-shirts, but some clothing is part of the vision. So
excellent.
You're very insightful to ask the question. I don't want to give too much away, but that's it. It's exactly what I mean in providing access to things that are thoughtfully designed and also are fun and playful. Again, black camouflage. So
that's going to be my lucky shoe.
All right. Thank you, Jeanette.
Thanks.
I'm going to go to, is it Natty?
Oh, yeah, it's Naughty, actually.
Naughty. Okay. Awesome, Naughty. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. So anyway, a quick thing on the clothing line, make sure you go petite and plus sizes.
For sure. We did that with shoes. We're down to 5s and up to 13s. I got a professional basketball player.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, how big do I have to make this for you to have a pair? And he's like, I'm a 13. I was like, all right, we're doing it. But you got it, Naughty.
Yeah. And so I guess the hashtag is #startup for your shoe. So I guess I'll be making a TikTok about these shoes if I'm able to get them. So that's awesome.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would that's what I mean about making things with this. Like, that is the spirit that I'm trying to share with you all. And you're making something with them. And as it being more than just a shoe means the world.
But
okay, cool.
I just wanted to ask you about, when you're talking, I'm just fascinated by this idea of products for the creator.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I think you're totally like spot on about how it's just been spread like peanut butter. There's nothing out there for us. I mean, like, sure, there are things for us to create, like paintbrushes and things like that. And there's journals and things, but I'm just all about that Abraham Hicks thing where we create our own reality. But how can we create our own reality when we're not like really identified as who we are?
Bingo. Bingo.
So how do we do that? How do we propagate our identity when we don't see ourselves?
I have to put pause on this and say every one of the 44 people, I guess we lost 6 folks, every one of the 44 people who are listening to this right now, you have to pay attention to what she's saying. It's hard to be what you can't see. Underrepresented communities know that already from their life. And as the part of you that identifies as a creator, if you look out in the landscape and you don't see things that reflect you and your values, the combination of social impact, of inclusion, of environmental considerations, of the products that you want to see out there that you have access to, accessibility, like that, you have to make those things. If you don't see them out there, that is a reason to spend, that's a worthy goal in and of itself. And that definitely parallels my life experience, trying to cultivate the identity of the creator and then provide a vision into what kind of living in life could be possible. Going back, again, this idea of a sponsored photographer, it did not exist when I first became a photographer. There were none. There were zero people. And now, I endorsed a handful of companies and I was paid very, very handsomely because we are the best purveyors of the values that we want to see in products. And if it can be made with our lens in mind, we know what our community needs and wants because we are a part of that community. We are the very fabric of it. So the way to answer your question in a couple of words, it's, you have to make those things. You have to bring those things into the world, which is exactly what I'm trying to do with the shoe. So my response to you is like, what can you do now to both help me spread the word about this as a concept? And again, it transcends journals and paintbrushes. Like this to me it's like, this is almost the most absurd example, right? Because shoe is a thing that most folks in the Western world use every day, but we don't think of that as an opportunity to put our stamp on the world. So that's part of why I chose this as one of my first sort of product vehicles that is not digital. I think your question is absolutely, it's laser focused. So I want to say thank you for being so thoughtful and for asking it in such a way that it just tells me how you're thinking. And I appreciate you. If you made a TikTok on that like I would, we're going to do the best we can of including any tags from here forward, that if you've got me in the ats or the hashtags or whatnot, we're going to try and do a great job of sharing that stuff. So feel free to also to DM me or text in this community. Now the text is getting a little crazy right at the moment because, because, you know, there's a lot of folks in there and I'm sharing this, what we're sharing today, but I can't express enough gratitude for you helping, and again, for helping spread the word. And I do think that there's a bigger picture here that we're talking about, Nadi. So
yeah, thanks so much. And congratulations. It's awesome.
it's so fun. I don't know if you can tell, I'm just like, I'm goofy. It's been to keep it secret for like 18 months. Oh man. All right. I'm going to go up to a couple more questions here. Thank you. I hope there's going to be some, you guys have done a great job, better job than I could have preparing something, just asking questions and uncorking a little bit of the backstory. So I'm going to open up to Leah here. Leah A, your camera's not on, so I hope you didn't walk away and to get a cup of coffee or something. There you are.
No, I'm still here. No, thanks so much. I'm so excited for you and for us. This is just such a great journey. I wanted to ask more about Seth. Is it Bosangmeister? Bosang?
Sagmeister.
Sagmeister.
Stefan, Stefan.
Okay.
Sagmeister, Sagmeister. Yes, I did win the spelling bee in second grade.
Well, that lens on life, I find interesting as a writer. You know, when we critique work, we often look through the lens of poverty or religion or race. And when we're going back through, and as I'm writing, I'm fascinated by writers now. There's one in Turkey who's really great, and she's overlaying her work with, it's not unusual, but just the way she does it is neat, but overlaying her work with fairy tales, sometimes ones that she's created. So she's got a story on top of a story on top of a story. And I've been thinking a lot in my own writing of trying to put the things that I love, eco-friendly things, and the things that I find are important to layer on top of the story. And so that idea about this lens through which you view the world, I want to hear more about that. So thank you.
Well, I love how you phrase that. I can't do a better job. This, again, I use the camera, but camera in both senses of the word as a physical design inspiration, because cameras, are largely durable. There's some technology embedded in there that you can't see, that you benefit from, but also the metaphoric sense of a camera, that it is, the lens through which you can see and create and define your own life. So the camera made a ton of sense to use as influence for this. And maybe if someone's kind enough to look up my name and Sagmeister, because we talked about, and again, there's a designer who crafted this as a concept on how to design things to look like. So I'm going to design a shoe. I'm going to take a camera as my influence, and I'm forgetting the phrase that the name that concept has. It's in that video. If you Google Chase Jarvis and Stefan Sagmeister, and a YouTube video will come up. We talk about that process in there. So Leah, if you want to know more about both Stefan, funny side note about Stefan, he takes 1 year out of every 7 years completely off. And he thought it was going to annihilate his design career, and it made him one of the most desirable designers on the planet. So if you've ever thought to do something different rather than just better, he said, I'm going to be unavailable starting next year for a year. So if you want to have me design your products, you better get in line and sign a contract. And so now he has this amazing, he's ironically known as a person who's very hard to hire because he goes on vacation for a year to recharge and to get design inspiration. So Stefan's been very influential in my world and in my life, and same with his concepts. So it's a great episode to check out, and we go into detail. And I think that the lens that I use to design a pair of tennis shoes through the lens of a 2-liter bottle, like what's good about a 2-liter bottle, what's bad about a 2-liter bottle, what's, and I just randomly threw that out in the course of our interview. And so it's a little bit full circle, and maybe a little bit, I had something in the back of my mind a number of years ago. That's part of the 30 Days of Genius series. So
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Maybe somebody can pop that link in there. There it is right there. Chase Jarvis /blog/Sagmeister Finding Happiness. Anyway, thank you, Leah. Great question. I'm going to move on to, let's go to Anne, and then Jarrett, I see you. I'm getting to you next, man. Anne Flanagan, I'm unmuting you.
Hi.
Hi, Anne.
Nice to see you from Canada.
Hey.
It's and the Rockies, right? What I was going to say is, like, first of all, these are awesome. I love the idea of you having this product come in, because it is a different creative kind of way. First question is, how small are the shoes? I'm going to buy a few, but my foot is a 4.5. So do you think they're going to?
I think we have a 5. I think the 5 is the smallest we went.
Okay.
Women's 5. But again, there was some very serious constraints on, because we have a limited number, we're only going to make 1,000. You're just going to want to be there right at 9 a.m. tomorrow.